In 181 BCE, a set of books came out of the ground and went straight into fire. All books were not rare in Rome. The city lost texts constantly. Papyrus rotted, scrolls were misplaced, copies ignored what nobody would pay to reproduce. Time destroyed more literature than any emperor ever could. But these particular books did not simply vanish. A Roman official inspected them, the Senate discussed them, then the state ordered them burned in public. That is what turns the lost books into a question. What could be so dangerous in a few scrolls that Rome refused to trust time to destroy them? The easy answer is forbidden knowledge, but that phrase explained nothing. Rome was not afraid of every strange idea, and it ran no censorship office watching every shelf. The fear was narrowed and stranger than that. A text became dangerous when it could gather the wrong people, predict the wrong future, honor the wrong dead, or disturb the gods in the wrong way. A scroll could be a prayer, a prophecy, a legal memory, a rumor with better handwriting. A few copy lines could protect a dead man's reputation or threaten a living emperor version of the past. So when Rome chose fire, the real question was never only what the book said, it was what Rome believed that book could do. That question opens the whole archive, and it opens with the grave of Janiculum. Livy tells the story this way. Workers digging at the foot of the Janiculum uncovered 2 stone chests. An inscription named one of them as the tomb of Numa Pompilius, Rome's legendary second king. It was empty. The other held his books, 2 bundaries, 7 scrolls each. 7 in Latin, on pontifical law, 7 in Greek, on philosophy. That should have made them priceless. Instead, it made them suspect. The praetor examined the books, judged that they could undermine Roman religion, and on the Senate's authority had them burned in front of the people. Numa belonged to Rome's legendary memory, and Livy is writing long after the supposed event. We're not holding these scrolls in our hands, we're holding a Roman story about a Roman fear. But the fear is the artifact that matters. Rome did not treat religion as a private feeling. Religion was part of the machinery of the city. Ritual kept the gods, the Senate, the army, the harvest, the calendar, and public order tied to one another. A text that disrupted that machinery wasn't merely wrong, it was dangerous. A few years earlier, Rome had already shown how it handled that kind of danger when it appeared in bodies instead of books. And the comparison tells us what the state was really guarding. In 186 BCE, the Senate moved against the Bacchanalia, the rites of Bacchus. Livy gave us the fairish account: secret meeting, oath, scandal, conspiracy. The drama is probably his. Ancient writers knew how to turn fear into the theater. But the crackdown was real. A bronze decree survives that restricted Bacchic gatherings and forced the cult to operate only by official permission. Now notice what Rome attacked. Not a scripture, a network. The meetings, the secrecy, the loyalty forming somewhere outside a normal civic order. There was no book to burn, so Rome burned nothing and dismantled the crowd instead. That is the pattern underneath the entire subject. The dangerous things is not always written objects. Sometimes it's the people who might gather around it. Sometimes it's the memory it keeps alive, or the future it claims to know. And the future was the most dangerous things of all. Rome did not reject prophecy. Rome wanted prophecy in state custody. It kept its own sacred texts, including the Sibylline books, consulted in the moments of crisis. They weren't fringe superstition. They were the part of official religion. Where Rome panicked, it asked approved books what the gods required. Unauthorized prophecy was a different animal. A prediction about the death of a ruler is not just a prediction, it can become an invitation. A prophecy about a coming new age makes the present regime look temporary. A prophecy with no approved author and no official handler is a political object wearing religious clothing. Suetonius reports that Augustus gathered up to more than 2,000 poetic books in Greek and Latin, especially the anonymous and dubious ones, and burned them, keeping only an approved selection of Sibylline material under state control. The number may be exact, or it may be Suetonius making the pile look enormous. Either way, the logic is sharp. Augustus wasn't destroying the prophecy because Romans had outgrown it. He was deciding which prophecy belonged to the state. The future was too powerful to leave it in the private hands. But once Rome became an empire, the past turned out to be as dangerous as the future. The early empire lived with the ghosts: Caesar assassination, the civil wars, the republic that supposedly died so peace could return. All families still remember old loyalties, old names still carry the charge, and a historian could put that charge back into circulation. That is what happened to Aulus Cremutius Cordus. Under Tiberius, he was prosecuted in part because his history praised Brutus and called Cassius the last of the Romans. Those were not harmless literary references. Brutus and Cassius had killed Julius Caesar. To honor them under the empire was to let the death breath into the room again. Cordus defended himself before the Senate, then walked out and starved himself to death. His books were ordered burned. A man dies because of how he remembered other dead men. Then the state tries to kill the memory he wrote down, and it fails. Copies survived. His daughter Marcia helped preserve them, and the work returned under the later emperor. That failure in the heart of the whole story, and the reason it's almost mechanical. The fire was public, but the manuscript world was private. A scroll could be hidden in a house. A friend could copy a passage. A daughter could keep her father's voice alive after the state declared his memory illegal. Rome could punish the author. It could not search every room in every mind. And there is a darker joke buried in it, once Tacitus understood completely. The order to destroy the book became one of the reasons we remember the book at all. When power tries to erase a writer, it advertises the wound. The forbidden text begins to glow, and people lean closer, wanting to know what was dangerous enough to burn. Nero's reign supplied the comic version. Fabricius Veinto wrote attacks on senators and priests, and his books were burned, after which people hunted them precisely because they was dangerous to own. Once the bans lifted and the risk were gone, they faded. The same text looked brilliant when it could get you into trouble and forgettable once it sat safely on the shelf. Forbidden status was marketing before marketing had a name. Under Domitian, the stakes rose again. Tacitus opens the Agricola by remembering the time when writers could be killed for praising the wrong man. Aurelianus Rusticus has praised Heresia Paetus. Herennius Senecio has praised Helvidius Priscus. Figures tied to senatorial resistance and the kind of moral memory an emperor did not want admired. The books was burned, the authors were punished. So Rome attacked memory outside of books too. Names were chiseled off inscriptions. Statues came down. Portraits was smashed and honors erased. What we often call damnatio memoriae was never one tidy legal machine used the same way each time, but the practice was real enough. Public memory could be edited. The trouble with erasure is that it leaves marks. A name scraped from stone doesn't become invisible, it becomes a scar. An empty statue base asked, what used to stand there? A historian who mentions a burned book preserves the fact that someone feared it. So Donna's claim is not that Rome burned every dangerous book, it didn't. Roman censorship never worked like a modern state machine. It was episodic, symbolic, anxious, human. Rome moved when words crossed into power, when religion formed unauthorized networks, when prophecy escaped official hands, when historians honored enemies of the regime, when biographies kept the moral authority of the dead alive. A dangerous book was rarely dangerous as a book. It was dangerous because it might become a room full of people. A rumor about the future, a private loyalty, a dead man who refused to stay dead. And that is why the fires failed. Not always and not completely. Many texts are gone, many voices that vanished, and the archive is full of holes that are final. But the stories that survived and exposed the same weakness inside suppression. Someone had a copy, someone quoted the forbidden line, someone noticed the missing name, someone wrote down that the fire had happened at all. The Roman archive is full of absence that still speak. Books we know of only because they were burned, names visible only because they were erased, ideas remembered because someone powerful decided they should disappear. Rome did not kill every dangerous text. Sometimes it did something more revealing. It shows us exactly where memory hurt. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video in our OddKind archive.